Hey everybody, it's the Dinosaur here, and holy crap! This is a Gamemaker tutorial, which so sad I even have to make, but it's just the way that it has to be. So the video on Monday, oh my goodness, was a disaster with the gravity switching thing. Holy cow! And so why I didn't post anything on Wednesday is because I started to record and started to, I worked with it and I'm like, oh, I know how to, alright, I think I have a plan on how I'm gonna fix this. And guess what? Plan boy didn't work, and I was recording and I'm like, oh my gosh, still not working. So I'm like, I have to actually really sit down and take a look at this, don't I? But no worries. It's okay now. Because it's good, it works, it's fixed, I've done it! And so we're gonna do the real tutorial, the real one. Here we go. Gravity switching, starting up the game. It's gonna blow your mind. I'm super happy it's finally done. Oh my goodness. So the idea is, woo! We have our little guy here. Whoop, hey, little platforming guy that, you know, with his animations and stuff that I really, I'm a little proud of. There's still a little bit of things I like that don't super work, and I'm not sure why. But we'll look into it. I mean, they work when we're in the air, but not when we're on the ground. So we'll look into it. We'll give it a try. But then, anyways, we do. And there's this weird you can get stuck sometimes, which is a problem that I've noticed with the way, if you're moving diagonally at just the right way, you can get stuck. And which I've noticed is a problem with this platforming programming that I've been using. So I need to find some new programming. So either way, anyways, so then we press the mouse button, boom, gravity switch. We can change it all directions. I changed my blocks, unfortunately. We can do it mid-air. We can woo, jump right. And we can jump around. And so yeah. Super great. We can reach new heights that we never have before. And we can move around, and it finally freaking works. So, I would part of me wants to say check out last video so you can get the get this a little bit set up. But no, don't watch the last video. Just don't watch the last one. Watch this one instead. So as far as assets, we got a guy stand animation, we got a guy run animation, we got a guy jump animation, all facing right. We got a collision box for our guy, and we got a image for the ground. Our object for the ground, for a block, is just solid. And I give it the sprite. That's all we do there. Now our guy is a little bit more complicated, but he's not super. So I'm just gonna kind of go through the code of what we have here. So this is the easy part. We just set some variables. We just set some information for our guy. We say our maximum speed, how fast we can go, how high our jump is, and how quickly our acceleration is. We just make those variables like that. We have our grav direction variable, which is equal to 270, which is downwards. And our show direction variable, which is equal to grav direction. There's two different variables here because one is going to be the actual direction that gravity's going, right? The actual way that we're facing and stuff like that. Show direction is a representation of the switching animation, so it's that whole turning animation type thing with our guy and the view. So we have those like that just to kind of make an actual thing that we use for coding, and then one that we use more for effects. Anywho, then we have image speed is set to 0.5. That's just to make some of my animations are a little slower so they look a bit better. Then I've got this for loop here. For I equals 0, semicolon I is less than 4, semicolon I plus plus. Standard basic stuff. And inside of our brackets we have dir speed, which is going to be an array. So dir speed I, because we're going to fill it up, is equal to 0. So we're basically making an array 0, 1, 2, 3, right? In our array. And we're making them all equal to 0. Because this array is going to determine our directional movement as we switch. And so this is all we need to do to set up. This is just setting up some variables and stuff that we need. And everything we need to get started. Now, most of the crap happens in the step event, so let's not worry about that for now. We need a draw event, number 1. This is really simple. Because the reason we're doing this is because the old programming used image angle to turn our guy, but I'm realizing that could change things with the hitbox, like our collision mask would turn also, and we don't really want our collision mask to turn. We want just our sprite to turn. So we have draw, sprite, ext for extra. First argument, we have sprite underscore index, comma, and then for our subimage, we just have image index. Our x and y is x and y. Our x scale is image x scale because this is what we use to flip our character left and right. Y scale is 1, but of course you can change that as you need it. Our rotation is show direction because, like I said, that's the variable that gives us more of the rotating animation, and then plus 90. Because if show direction is 270, like facing downwards with our gravity, adding 90 will make it 360, which will be the sideways origin for our sprite. So we need to add 90 to that to make sure our sprite is correct. And then color, we have C white, and then alpha is 1. So everything's pretty much the same. We just add this show direction here and our image X scale to make it so that everything looks correctly, even though so our mask doesn't like change. I made his depth -10 because I was drawing some stuff. You can do that if you want, but whatever. So adjust for gravity and stuff. Oh my heavens, let's not look at that right now. Moving stuff. Oh my heavens, let's not look at that right now. Okay, so something we need to do very first is the easiest way that I got this to work is that we need to make a script first. Alright, I named it scr get dir value. That's kind of a long name though, so I would recommend naming it something shorter than that. But basically, most of the problem is that when we click, it's just adding or subtracting 90 to our gravity direction, right? Which makes sense. However, that technically makes it so that if we add 90 to 360, that is going to turn it into 450, right? And the problem is that we have an array of our dir speed. If we go to our guy, right, that's the array that we created, keeps track of our speeds in every direction, and it rotates with us. It just changes the numbers in the array as we rotate to keep all of our speeds the same and whatnot, right? The problem is, though, is that the easiest way we do that is just take our gravity direction and divide it, using the div operator, divide it by 90. That way, if it's 360, well, that'll be 0. Because that's what, but that way if it's 0, it's 0. If it's 90, it's 1 in our array of speed. If it's 180, it's 2 in our array. And if it's 270, it's 3 in our array. The problem is when it goes, because then if we add 90 to 270, that's going to be 360, right? And then 360 divided by 90 is 4, which is not in our array. Our array is 0 through 3. And so the game will crash, right? So what we're doing, and so we could try and limit our, I've tried it before going in here where we adjust for gravity. This is the thing that actually turns us right here, grav direction. This is some other stuff. But I tried making it so you can adjust, it puts caps that say, oh, if it's 360, basically if the gravity is ever 360 or above, then subtract 360. And if it's ever less than 0, then add 360, right? To make it so that it makes sure that it stays the same. But the problem is that then it makes it so the camera and stuff turn, the guy and stuff turns weird ways. And so it flips around and does weird stuff. So the easiest way the simplest way that I've decided to do this is that we make a script that takes any sort of angle value, divides it by 90, and then just limits it to a number 0 through 3. And here's what I mean by that. So in this script, all we want to put it is an angle. Where we start off with our var, our temporary variable. We call it temp angle equals argument 0, which will be our angle that we input, right? And we use div to make sure we get an even number, 90. All right. So let's say we put in a 360, all right? 360 divided by 90 is 4. Okay, so right now temp angle is a 4, right? Then we get this while loop. And what this will do is that while temp angle is less than 0 or temp angle is greater than 3, right? So basically, if it's not within 0 or 3, this will keep looping until, and it'll go through these arguments if it will. So we have a 4, let's say. So temp angle is a 4, which is greater than 3. So it's gonna go, okay. So we're gonna go in here and we're gonna say if temp angle is greater than 3, which 4 is greater than 3, so we're gonna go in here. Temp angle minus equals 4. Oh, okay. So then we get a 0, which is facing the same direction, and it's inside of our array that we're gonna use for direction. So we'll come back around and say, oh, well, since we have a 0 now, temp angle is 0, we don't need to do this anymore. Return is 0, right? And same thing that if it was like -90 divided by 90 is -1, -1 is less than 0, come over here. Else if temp angle is less than 0, which -1 is, then it was going to add 4, which is going to turn it into 3, which will be the same thing. So this is like the best, this is the easiest way to do that, pretty much. So then we can just kind of put it in an angle, and then we will always make sure we get something within our array. And then the very last, we can put return temp angle. That way it'll give back the value of whatever it gets in here. So we want to make this script, and here we go. So I'd say let's get the tough thing out of the way. Moving stuff. All right, this is big. So don't worry about too much. We're going to kind of go through it step at a time. Probably like there. And I've kind of labeled some things. Normally I don't. So first, the way that we're going to work it, because we have our 4 directions, our 4 in our dir speed variable, or in our dir speed array, we have our 4 values that represent our 4 directions. 0, 1, 2, 3. Basically, what we're doing is that we're just adjusting things to make sure that the number that we adjust our gravity, our y direction, is always the number that's down below on our screen, okay? So for instance, if we're facing normally, our number facing down below is a 3. That way, number value 3 in our array will keep track of our vertical direction, right? But let's say if we spun our gravity around, right? Then 1, because our gravity will be facing upwards, 1 will become the direction that will become the value in our array that handles our vertical speed of our relative to our character, that is, of course. And same thing with our x direction, except for our x direction, like our horizontal direction, is going to be stored into whatever value is 90 degrees up from our gravity direction. So for instance, if we're facing normal, gravity is 3, facing up, that'll add 1, right? Which will become a 4. Our script will make that a 0, which will mean spot 0 in our array will keep track of our horizontal direction, okay? Same thing if we're facing upside down, because if we're facing upside down, that means 1 is our gravity direction, which means 2 is the direction that keeps track of our horizontal speed, all right? Whew! I hope that made sense. I really hope that made sense. And so I want to see that why this is this. Because we have like our clamps and stuff like that. However, that's not something we need to worry about right this second. So first off, we just want to get our like movement and stuff down. The very first thing actually that I want to talk about, and you can like type this up, you can pause and type it up as you want, but actually we're just going to kind of do it all at once because I just talk about it. Normally I'd type it out, but since it's already done, we'll just go through it. So first we have our moving and stuff, right? Just our actual moving left and right. So I'm using WASD to move because we're using the mouse to switch our gravity. So if keyboard check ord D, which is how you get our key press for the D key, like a letter key, we go dir speed, which is our array for our speed directions. And then we put in our script, ser get dir value. And inside of our script right here, we're putting in grav direction plus 90. And then we're going to close that all up, and then we're going to go plus equals accel, which is our acceleration speed, right? So basically, if we're pressing D, we're going to add to that number, ramping up with our acceleration. And so, and then we're going to turn our image X scale to 1, means we're going to face right. Otherwise, though, if D is not pressed, right? Else if keyboard check or A, right there, as if we're pressing A, dir speed, and then again, our script, and input, we put grav direction plus 90, minus equals acceleration. So basically, we're going to minus that number, because negative, we're going to say, if that number is negative, we're going to move left, and if that number is positive, we're going to move right. So we're going to subtract from it, like move more left with our A. Then, oh, I know why this doesn't work. There we go. Okay. Else, otherwise, if nor D or A is being pressed, right? Then what we're going to do, else, we say dir speed, use our script, ser get dir value, put in our grav direction for our horizontal, for grav direction plus 90 in there, close off our parenthesis for that array, equals lerp, linear interpolate. I love lerp. It's like the best word in Gamemaker, which means we're going to approach a number, right, by a percentage. Basically, we're using this as friction to slow down. So we're going to say lerp, and in here we're going to put for our value 1, as in the value that we have, we again put dir speed, put in our script, and then for the argument in the script, so ser get dir value, for the argument in the script we put grav direction plus 90, because that's our horizontal number, right? Close that off. The number we're trying to get to is 0, because we're trying to slow to a stop, and the percentage amount is by 20%. Huh. All right. All right. So this will move us left and right. All right. And it should like give us a slow down, speed up type effect. So since I fixed that, we can kind of go in here and take a look at that. We kind of stop. So as you can see, we kind of slow down, we kind of speed up, right? Which is a really nice effect. It gives a nice feel. I love like these speeding up, slowing down effects. So I think we're gonna make, click on the X. We're gonna make our acceleration speed a little less. Actually, I think we're gonna make it like 30 or 0.3. What's cool is that when we put our variables up in the front like that, we can just adjust them really fast, and then the game takes care of the rest. Here we go. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's feeling a bit better, which is nice. Okay, so cool. Oh my gosh, click on the X. All right, let's continue on, shall we? So now let's talk about gravity. And I don't know why this has a red circle on it. Like, I absolutely know why. Use color coding. Oh, no. Use color coding. But, like, I don't know what this X is all about. Like, this dot's all about. I have no clue. What's this? On? What's this? Off. I don't know what these do. Applies to self. Other. Oh, my gosh. You can do applies to object. I mean, I knew these were a thing, but I didn't really know that. That's... Holy crap. I could use that. I could really use that. Wow. Okay. Anyways, Gamemaker or Denkasaur learned something new today. All right, let's talk about gravity. Let's talk about gravity. So this is pretty easy. So if the So first for our gravity, we're going to say if not place meeting. So basically, we're going to say if we're not on the ground. All right. So if not place meeting, and our x value is going to be x plus length dir x, because where we're going to be looking is going to be changing depending on, where our gravity is facing. So length dir underscore x, inside our length is 1 because we just want to check 1 pixel in the direction that gravity is. So we just put grav direction, which will be downwards, whichever way we're going. For our y value, we want to put y plus length dir y. Our length in there is 1. Direction is grav direction still. And we're looking out for object block right there. or any sort of collision object that you have. And in our brackets, we're going to say dir speed. Then we're going to get our script ser get dir value. And we're just going to put in grav direction because now we want to talk about our value that is facing downwards, which is just our gravity direction. So basically, if we're in the air and not touching the ground, we're going to add 0.6 to our speed, our directional speed for up and for our vertical direction. So basically, positive numbers are going to move us downwards. Negative numbers are going to move us upwards. All right? Otherwise, if we're on the ground, right, we're going to put some brackets here. And we're going to say if keyboard check pressed or W. So if we press the W key, and it's only when we actually press the button. If you want to be able to hold the button and like continuously jump, you can just take this out and be like keyboard check, right? That way you can just hold the up button, and so whenever you touch the ground, you can jump again if you're holding the button. I prefer check pressed though. Well, it depends on the game, but for this instance, I'm going to use check pressed. We're going to get our brackets right there, and we're going to say dir speed, and then access our ser get dir value, our script. For the argument, we're going to put grav direction, which means our vertical direction that we want to set, and we're going to do minus equals jump. So it'll subtract it from our speed, meaning it'll move us upwards. Expect this does the actual moving down here, but this is like setting our speed pretty much. However, this is all good and fine, but it doesn't matter if we don't run into stuff. So let's run into stuff. Collisions. This is actually pretty easy because the same method that we used before to do collisions, we just apply it to all four directions around us, depending on that dir speed. So yes, okay. So I was just thinking for a second. I was like, if this is this is okay. I was just okay. So first, going to set up a for loop. For I equals 0, I is less than 4, and I plus plus. Pretty easy stuff. Basic. We're going to set up our brackets right here. Then we say if place meeting, and then here we go. It's a big boy, but it's like similar to that one. We go x plus length dir x, right? And for our length, we want to do dir underscore speed, and we're going to put in I, because basically we're just going to loop in all of our four directions, take a look at whatever speeds there are, check ahead of those, and see if there's a block there, right? So we're going to do I for our array, right? 0 through 3. We're going to check our speed, and that'll be the length of which we're going to check outwards, and the direction that we're going to check outwards is going to be I times 90. So that way we just look in each direction. And so it'll be the same thing here, but for y. Y plus length dir y. And then the length is dir speed. And in there is I, comma, and I like to put them in parentheses, even though you don't have to. We got I times 90 right there. And then we're looking out for object block, right? So if we're moving down really fast because of gravity, we're moving at like 20 speed because of gravity, it's going to check out 20 pixels ahead of us and before we move, right? Because we move actually right here. This is before we move, right? And we're going, right? So if we do find a block, though, that we are going to potentially be moving, you know, if we do find a block that we're going to move into, we're going to pull this while loop, right? While, not place meeting. And so basically we're going to loop through and move towards it 1 pixel at a time until, and this doesn't actually need to be signed. This doesn't need to be signed at all. This might have been causing some of the problems. Because this isn't dir speed. This is just 1. You know? This is just 1. And this is just 1. And this is just 1. Let's make sure this works before I permanently change that, but it should just be 1. Because that could have caused some stuff. That could have caused some whoa. Now there's some real problems. Holy cow. See, good thing I tested it out before. Dir speed. I wonder why that's not working, because I times 90, not place meeting, x plus equals I times 90. I don't know why that wouldn't work, to be perfectly honest, but never mind. Yeah, sign. So I'm gonna put it back, except that's not where that goes. It goes here. Okay. Ignore some things while I fix this. I was trying something though. That's what we do. That's what we do in the programming. If we think, hey, is there a better way I could do this to fix some problems? We try it. And then if it doesn't work, we put it back. Okay. So anyways, not place meaning, x plus length or x, sign. So basically we're going to get a 1 or -1, depending on our dir speed, which I guess this makes sense. Okay. So yeah, so we're going to 1 or -1, depending on where our value is in there. And then we're going to go in the direction that, that we're looking at right there, I times 90. And then our y is the same thing, y plus length dir y, sine dir speed, and inputting I into our array. And then in this argument for our direction, we want to put I times 90. And we're looking out for object blocks. So basically, we're looking 1 pixel ahead of us towards where that block is going to be hitting us, right? And if it's free, as if there's nothing there, no block movement, we're going to go x plus equals length dir x, and then sine dir speed of I, close those parentheses and brackets. And then our direction is going to be I times 90. So basically, we're going to move over 1 pixel. Same thing here. And we're going to do it to our y as well, because it'll change, depending on which way we're facing. So we're kind of doing just both at the same time. So y plus equals length dir y. And then here we have sine. And then inside the sine, we have dir speed. And inside that, we have an I. We close all that. And then for another direction, we have I times 90. So then we're just going to keep moving 1 pixel, and it'll do it in an instant, right? Until our next pixel is going to hit the block. So we're going to move right up next to the block, pretty much. And if that happens, this will not be true. And then it'll go to this next part, which is a dir speed in whatever direction we're looking at that moment from our for loop is going to equal 0, meaning we're going to stop. We're not going to have speed in that direction anymore. Okay. So now we can move, we can respond to gravity, and we collide to stuff. But now we need to actually move and make sure our values stay within bounds. All right. So first, I put these number caps, and so I'm putting some more notes now. All right, number caps, meaning that we'll move upwards or downwards and left and right at a capped speed to make sure that we don't fall too fast or go too fast high or something like that. So basically we're going to say dir speed, access our array, and input our this is going to be for our vertical, by the way. So get our script, str get dir value, and input grav direction because that's our vertical. And then we're going to equal clamp, which means we're going to make sure that the values that we're looking at don't go out of bounds. So the value that we're clamping is the same thing. Dir speed, inside there, str get dir value, and then that we have our grav direction. That value, then we're going to say a minimum value is going to be -20. And our maximum value is going to be 20. So basically we can fall at a maximum speed of 20 pixels per step, or we can jump at a maximum of get 20 pixels per step. Basically, this will just limit how fast we go and whatnot. I was going to say something else. Oh, yeah, so it's really cool because, if our gravity, if we're moving at, 20 pixels a second, our gravity will add 0.6, right? Then it will come down here and say, oh, nope, that's out of our bounds, so it'll cap it back down to 20, right? Which is really neat, because then this doesn't have to be we don't have to do any if statements oh, if our speed is less than our maximum speed, then we can just do it. Same thing with our acceleration, is that if we're already moving at max speed, this is still going to come through, add more of our acceleration because we're still pressing D to move, right? Which means that'll be 7.3, right? And it'll come down here, which is what we're going to do, and we're going to say, oh, 7.3 is higher than 7, so we're going to cap it at 7. To make sure we don't move too fast. So now we're going to do that. We're going to do just that. We're going to adjust our horizontal speed as well. So same thing, dir speed. In our bracket, we get str get dir value. And in our parentheses, we go grav direction plus 90, because plus 90 is our horizontal direction that we're storing, right? So we're going to equals clamp. And then inside the parentheses there, we go dir speed. brackets, we go str get their value, and inside the parentheses we get grav direction plus 90, because that's our horizontal thing. Our minimum speed is going to be negative speed, because speed is our variable right here that keeps track of the maximum speed at how fast we go. We don't want to close all that. There we go. Well, then positive speed, we want to also cap it at positive speed, because then we don't want to go too fast or too slow. So those are going to be our caps right there, to make sure we move the way we want to, as fast as we want to. So now we're going to actually move, and actually moving is really simple, because all we do is we do another for loop for I equals 0, I is less than 4, and I plus plus. And in here, and I don't know why the y was first, I think it's just because I did that first, but I like to put my x's first. So x is going to be plus equals length or x. Our length for how fast, how far we're going to move is going to be dir speed, and we're going to input I, so it's going to be in whatever direction that it's looking at right there. And then comma I times 90 for the direction. So what's cool is that even though it's going to be the same direction, like it's going to be checking for the 0 direction, which is going to be right of whatever way our character's facing, right? I mean, not technically, but if our character's hasn't changed gravity yet. Then, and if that's like a negative number, right? So if it's like negative 20, it'll be going negative 20 in this direction, which will actually be the other direction. So we'll be moving even though, like, we're not actually checking the value that's facing that way. I know, it's a little weird, but it works. Then we do the same thing for our y. Y plus equals length dir y. In there we have dir speed, and in our brackets we got our I. And then for our direction we have I times 90. So what's also cool is that we can move both of them every single time. Because if it's facing downwards, right? If we get our length or x for something that's facing like downwards, if we haven't changed gravity yet, our speed, like, this is going to turn out to be 0. Like, it's not going to add anything to our x, because if it's facing downwards, like, our x isn't changing anywhere. Whereas our y, it's going to adjust it because like gravity and stuff and so on and so forth. It's really neat. Now, last thing we need to do in this bit of code is adjust like our view to follow our player. And this is pretty much the same as last time, except in last video it was like reversed. So I was doing the image and stuff right, it was the view that was reversed. So we have our view, x view of our view 0 equals x minus view w view 0 divided by 2. And then we got view y view 0 equals y minus, in parentheses, view underscore h view of 0 divided by 2. Close your parentheses. So these two lines of code ensure that our player stays in the center of the view at all times. And then we have this cool function called view angle, which we can change the angle of the view, if you didn't already guess. View angle of 0 equals, and then parentheses, we have -1 times show direction, because we need to flip-flop which way it's going. It's like, it's weird, because it's like opposite of what we changed, but it's okay. And then we got -90 to make sure that it's like facing, to make sure it's all facing the right direction, because otherwise it'd be incorrect. Now all of this in conjunction, all right, we'll get at least this much. We'll get it so that you can spawn your player and you can move it around. We haven't done animations yet, and we haven't done gravity switching yet, which is about what we're going to get to. Let's do animations first and then gravity switching. So, animations and stuff. This is actually really, really easy. So, I like to separate it in a whole block of code when they're in different things. I like to just put a different block of code in there, just so I can say, all right, this is moving, this is animations, this is changing gravity. So like if there's a problem in moving, I can be like, okay, right there, and then I can go find it. So I like to split it up. So in this one, we have our if place meeting, y plus length, not y, x plus length or x, and in those parentheses we have our direction, our length being 1, and our direction being grav direction. So basically we're checking if there's a block below us again. So if we're standing on the ground is pretty much what this is saying. Anyways, we keep going. We have y plus length or y, and in there we have the length of 1, and the direction of grav underscore direction, close the parentheses. And then we're going to be looking for object blocks. So basically this is saying if we're on the ground, all right? Then it's going to pull another if statement. So now we want to be checking to see, hey, are we running? Like, are we moving? Because if we're running, we want to do our running animation. If not, we're going to do stand. And if we're not even on the ground, we're going to do our jump. This is really simple animation stuff. Of course, add to it or take away to it whatever you want to fit your game. But this is what I have. So first now, we're in these brackets, we're going to run an if statement. So basically, if we're standing on the ground, we're going to say if dir speed of our array, and in there we get str get dir value. And in those parentheses, we want to do grav direction plus 90, so we're checking our horizontal speed, right, to see if we're moving left or right. And I'm going to say is greater or equal to -1. Is greater or equal to 1, not -1. And the reason why I say greater or equal to 1 and not like 0, you know, is because we have like our speed up and slow down effect. And so it looks kind of awkward. Is if as we're like slowing down. And you know, if we're at like just that barely point where we're still slowing down, but not quite stopped yet, but we're moving so slow you can't even really tell. If we're at that point, it looks really weird because if our player isn't really moving, you know, it's just at that tail end of that slowdown. And so they're not even moving at all, really. But they're still like running at full speed. It looks really weird. So you could do like adjustments for it, I guess. You can change like your image speed to like go faster or slower depending on your character's movement speed, which would be really cool. This is the way I do it is that so basically our character will like stop moving a little bit before he actually he'll stop looking like he's moving a little bit before he stops actually moving to make it so like he stops running but he like slides for just a little bit, you know. So that's what I like to do. So anyways, we have this first thing and then we say or, and then we say dir underscore speed, and in the brackets we have str get dir value, and in those parentheses we have grav direction plus 90 because we're looking at the same thing, but we're also going to say or it's less than or equal to -1. So basically if we're moving faster than 1 right or faster than -1 left. So basically if we're moving around, we're going to say in our parentheses, not a parentheses, our curly brackets, we're going to say sprite index equals our sprite for running. Mine is called SPR guy run. Yours is called whatever you want it to be. So basically, but if we're not, if our speed is within 1 and -1, so if it's like we're basically stopped moving, otherwise we're going to say else. In our curly brackets, we're going to say sprite index equals our standing sprite, which mine is SPR underscore guy stand. Which is cool. Except now, we need to close up the rest of our animations. So then we go back, because we have our, if we're standing on the ground, check our speeds to see if we're running or standing. But if we're not on the ground, else, we say sprite index equals SPR guy jump, or your jumping animation. Whoa! So now we got animations down, we got a guy that can move, guy that has animations, stuff like that. Now, let's do the hardest part. It's actually not the hardest part, it's kind of just confusing. The gravity switching itself, it's a bit of a thing. So the very first thing I have in here is adjusting our show direction based off of our gravity direction. So we're going to say show underscore direction equals lerp. We're going to lerp again to give it that nice kind of smooth turning effect. And I actually think I want to turn this down a little bit. We're going to say lerp. In our parentheses, we're going to say show direction, because show direction is whichever direction like our turning animation is at right now. But we want to approach, for our second argument, grav direction. So if we, hit this button, all of a sudden grav direction is plus 90, but show direction is still 0, right? So it's going to make its way over to grav direction by a percentage of 0.1 or 10%. Now, of course, adjust these values to whatever you like. I'm going to slow that down to see if I like that a bit better. So now we're going to do our actually gravity switching effect. And I know this looks a little confusing, but there's a reason why it's like the way it is. So I'm going to split this up a little bit. So first we're going to say if mouse check button press. So when we press the mouse button, right? Our left mouse button, actually. MB underscore left we put in there. We want to add first our grav direction. We want to add to 90. All right. We want to add to 90. We want to add 90 to it. But the problem is that our array that keeps track of our speeds isn't going to change when our gravity changes. It'll just start adjusting other numbers in our array, right? And so basically we have to switch around the numbers in our in the array that keep track of our speeds, we have to switch those around based off of how we moved, like based off of how we switched our gravity. Don't worry though, I've done the hard part for you and figuring which way it needs to go. So basically we need to make a temporary variable, var temp number equals dir speed 3, which is our highest number, right? Basically we want to save whatever number's here into a temporary number to make sure that this speed, whatever speed that is, if it's being used, isn't going to be forgotten, right? Because then we're basically just shifting all the numbers. Because then we're going to say dir speed 3 is equal to dir speed 2. So basically, our 3 is going to be equal to whatever 2 is, right? And same thing, dir speed 2 is equal to dir speed 1. Because now we're just like shifting everything in the array. Same thing here, dir speed 1 is equal to dir speed 0, which is our like last part in the array. And finally, dir speed 0 is going to equal temp number, which was equal to whatever dir speed 3 was when this started, right? So basically it shifts everything in the array to make sure that whatever number is supposed to be facing towards the bottom of our character stays the speed of whatever is at the bottom of our character. So if our guy's moving down, which at that point that'll be 3 in our array, right? So our spot 3 is, if he's going down, is going to be 20, right? Because he's going down. But if we add 90, that means our spot 3 turns into spot 0, right? Spot 0 at that point doesn't have anything in it, because let's say we're not moving left or right. But spot 3 is still going to have 20 in it. So basically what we're doing is we're making it so it turns everything around so that now spot 0 has 20 in it, so that we move that way at that speed. And then it turns this one to 0, so we're not falling that way anymore. I hope that makes sense. Like, that's the weird part, is like, it makes sense to me the way that I've done this. So I hope I can explain it so that it makes sense to you too. Because you can copy the code all fine, but you don't understand it, it's like, it's not going to help you much. It's not going to do you much good for the future in programming in the future, I guess. So I hope it makes sense. And basically now we're going to do the same thing, but reversed. So we're going to say if mouse check button pressed, MB right, so mouse button right, so we press the right. At the instance, we press the right mouse button. Yes. Except it's the opposite direction. So we're going to say grab underscore direction minus equals 90. And then basically we do the exact same thing up here, except the other way. So now we want to say var temp number is equal to dir speed 0 instead of 3. And then we're going to go up instead. So then we're going to say dir speed 0 is equal to dir speed 1. Dir speed 1 is equal to dir speed 2. Dir speed 2 is equal to dir speed 3. And dir speed 3 is equal to temp number, which at one point was dir speed 0. Oh my goodness. So you get that all typed up, all good, all down, and then you'll have this. You'll have this system right here of switching gravity. I kind of like that gravity switch. It's a little bit more gradual. Maybe it needs to speed up a little bit, but yeah. Anyways, so then you can build a nice little place. You can build a game. You can build some sort of, you can use this mechanic to make something. So I hope also makes sense and whatnot. But so thank you so much for watching and for being patient with me in trying to figure this out, because like this was a doozy. Like I didn't think it would be this hard when I came up with the idea. I was like, yeah, just do a video about the guy that can switch some gravity. It's easy peasy. You just change the gravity. There you go. I thought it'd be easy. I was wrong. Uh-oh, we're stuck. Oh, now we're not. Like, I hate getting stuck, and I don't know why it happens. It happens sometimes, but it doesn't. It's weird. If anyone can figure that out, that'd be great. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more of this crap. And always remember to complete breakfast. It'll help you figure out programming, I promise. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.